So, you've posed a very interesting question here. To an atheist, the question would sound something more like, well, what's next? Because we have taken aboard the idea that there may be no greater meaning, nothing out there beyond us in the span of what we can do in our lifetimes. It's the existential quandary. Once you get rid of all the notions of higher reality, of greater purpose, of greater destiny that you've been raised with, and you're left simply with the naked truth of yourself, well, what next? Because the thing is, as crushing as this epiphany can be, you still have the next day and the next and the next, and you have to do something to occupy your time anyway. I mean, you could choose nihilism. There's nothing stopping you from doing it. But you do have to do something. And it does seem to be in our nature to choose some kind of higher purpose, whether it's constructed or otherwise. In the example of William Wallace, we can say that his death was heroic and that it mattered because it was recorded. There's poetry. Very great poem, I'll link it below, concerning the death of William Wallace, written well before Braveheart was thought of. And that's where the story comes to us, and where it has the power, the resonance that we see so many centuries later. But for the individual atheist, the idea that what we do may not be recorded, it may not be known or understood, really isn't all that threatening. Because as I said, we do have to fill our times with something. And it's not simply a matter of the fact that someone might make a movie of it that will one day give it meaning retroactively. Well, the meaning was there in what happened at the time. And in that sense, it is objective. It is momentary. Now, in terms of the question of natural progression, I don't think it's really true that atheism is a wholly new development. If we're bringing the concept of Darwinian evolution into it, what we find is that there was a point in our development at which we started burying our dead. No such practices existed before that. According to current theory, we're looking at this divergence about 500,000 years ago. The species Homo neanderthalis and Homo heidelbergensis. And there may be more discoveries left for us to discover there. But when we look at the species right before that, Homo ergaster, Australopithecus, the various species like that, we don't find funerary practice, we don't find burial practices. And so from where I'm sitting now, looking back at the evidence, it seems to me that that's where that divergence occurred, about 500,000 years ago, with Stone Age, almost human creatures. And at that point, we developed what we can refer to as a spiritual awareness, burying of the dead, valuing of the individual. But we still have a long way to go from there. So we're still left with this same quandary, the same existential quandary. And I submit to you that believers have the same quandary as well. Yes, you can say, I know that my soul is going to go to heaven and live an afterlife of eternity, but what good is that? What if your religion puts you in a position where you have to do things that you find repugnant, things that you find personally distasteful? What if you believe you're saved, but you also believe that you're experiencing visions? You believe, well, you're hearing voices in your head, and you believe them to be the voices of angels or direct divine intervention. If you feel that your going to heaven relies on doing what these voices tell you, which typically would be something fairly unhealthy, like kill your wife, she's a demon, she has a demon in her, kill your child, it's going to become a demon. Women suffering from postpartum depression have reported these kinds of disturbances. Do you go through with it? So I submit to you that even if you do believe in a soul and an afterlife, you're still left with this question. You still have to ponder, what's the real meaning of the things that you do? particularly with so many religions offering you so many different ways to get to heaven. You have to make a distinction, you have to make a choice. And to do that, you have to formulate a value system of your own. Typically, we refer to this as a conscience. But it takes us right back to this question: why does anything that we do matter? Answering this question allows us to form a matrix, a network of beliefs, things that we are intractable on, and things that we are willing to compromise. And that's something that everyone has to use to inform their opinions, to live their lives. So, I hope that I've touched on issues that will prove thought-provoking, and thank you for your time. I'm Brendo.